Good morning to Dr. Samah and my fellow friends. My name is Fatih Nurul Ain binti Muhammad Said. Today, me and my teammate Asma Amani binti Amaruddin, Nur Syamimi binti Muhammad Omar, Nur Aina Sofiah binti Abdul Sahud, and Nurul Atikah binti Muhammad Saufi will present the answers to the question that our group has chosen. Question 1 contains two parts, which is question 1A, discuss 4 differences of traditional and current assessment. In what way the current assessment trends can overcome the shortcomings of traditional assessment? And question 1B, based on your experience, discuss 5 difficulties faced by inexperienced teachers in integrating assessment and teaching. So, let's go to question 1 first. As we know, trends in educational assessment are constantly evolving and changing over the time. Assessment can be defined as something that includes measurement, evaluation, and testing. It is defined as a process of gathering information about student performance over a period of time to facilitate teaching and learning, and to determine learning and mastery of skills. Traditional and current trend in educational assessment has significant differences in the context of teaching and learning. This is because, as we know, the flow of educational assessment in the era of globalization is more modern and opens to the minds more widely. So, let's see what is the differences and how the current assessment trends can overcome the weakness of traditional assessment.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day. I am Nur Syamimi binti Muhammad Omar. Will continue by answering the first question, which is discuss 4 differences of traditional and current assessment. So, the first difference of traditional and current assessment is the implementation of higher order thinking skills HOT in current assessment. In traditional assessment, Integrated Secondary School Curriculum KBSM has been used to assess the students. This curriculum emphasizes on the languages and basic skills. KBSM aims to expand the individual potential as a whole, balanced and integrated, and it covers the aspect of intellectual, spiritual, emotion and physical to produce a well-balanced, harmonious and a good moral values individual. However, the school curriculum has been changed to standard-based curriculum for secondary school Kssm to produce students who are balanced and able to compete at the international level. Major changes in Kssm is the emphasis on the practice of critical and creative thinking and the implementation of questioning in the form of HOTs. Teachers are advised to encourage students using HOTs because thinking skills are among the main needs of a student to compete at the international level, in addition to the mastery of knowledge and skills in any discipline. The second difference of traditional and current assessment is the learning approach. In the past, Malaysian educational system depends on didactic approach in teaching and learning that based on teachers' instructions. This is called teacher-centered learning. The traditional teacher-centered approach focuses on the teacher as the expert in transmitting knowledge to the student who is the novice. However, in the current era, educational system nowadays are progressing with regards to the more active and constructive education. This is the student-centered learning. Student-centered learning approach places the student at the center of the learning process and is generally intended to provide students with the autonomy to actively seek out and construct meaning from information and previous experience. For instance, one of the significant differences between these learning approaches are only one-way communication in teacher-centered learning, while there are two-way communication between teacher and students in student-centered learning. The third difference is on assessment activities or methods to evaluate students. There are a variety of activities in the current assessment compared to the traditional assessment. In traditional assessment, teachers tend to use primarily paper and pen tests. This method was used by teachers because they can determine students' performance easily. This is because the score achieved reflects students' level of mastery. Meanwhile, in current assessment, teachers are using performance assessment. A performance-based assessment is an open-ended and without a single or correct answer, and it should demonstrate authentic learning, such as exploration or class debate. Teachers use these methods to evaluate students' overall abilities. Variety of ways can be used to assess student performance. For instance, teachers can use applications such as Kahoot and quizzes to measure students' performance. Other than that, teachers can also use methods such as presentation, project-based learning, and portfolios. And the fourth difference is the time that teachers use to assess their student. In traditional assessment, teachers tend to use summative assessment as the main method to evaluate student performance. Summative assessment were used to evaluate student learning and skill acquisition at the end of learning period. This assessment typically used at the end of school year. For instance, some example of summative assessment in Malaysia is Penilaian Menengah Rendah PMR and Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM. In 2011, School-Based Assessment SBA has been implemented formally in Malaysian education. The current assessment SBA is assessing the process and product of each and every student in formative and summative way by practicing both the assessment for learning and assessment of learning concept. Formative assessment refers to a wide variety of methods that teachers use to conduct in-process evaluations of student comprehension, learning needs, and academic progress during a lesson, unit, or course. SBA consists of two main components known as the academic components, which are school and central assessment, and the non-academic components, which are physical activities, sports, co-curricular assessment, and psychometric assessment. There are not much of a difference in this aspect, yet we can see that the current assessment is the enhanced version of the previous assessment. That's all from me. I'll pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum and good morning to everybody. Thank you to Shamimi for letting me continue presentation today. Before I forget, my name is Asma Amani binti Amiruddin with metric number 152031. So today I want to share 4 advantages of current assessment that among of us use it. First of all, it is about on higher order thinking skill that all of us know as HOTS. So I think everyone know about HOTS concept, but let me explain a little bit about this concept. So HOT or higher order thinking skill is some types of learning that require more cognitive processing than others. For example, skills involving analysis, evaluation, and synthesis. For the first advantage for this is to build on existing knowledge. So as you can see here, our students learn as they progress through the course, and they can build on knowledge that they already have or have acquired during their course. And from this, it helps students build thinking skill, which is based on the knowledge they have. They can improve their knowledge and skills in solving the problem using this HOTS concept. For example, they can implement the knowledge that they already have by the practical. As a result, like what did Shamimi explain before, now we have a new curriculum that called as Kssm. Next, we move second advantage that relate with students are engaged in the learning process. So the advantage for this is we as teacher can highlighting problem areas. This is because continuous or current assessment allows both the learner and their tutor to understand where they need to improve at an early stage. So with this method, any particular problem areas can be addressed at a much earlier stage of the learning process. This also can make student and teacher can have a good communication and relationship. Other than that, we can have a better standard of learning, which is current assessment will create a better standard learning based on 3 domains, which is intellectual, affective, and psychomotor. Students also learn by the action along the process PMP, and not only just for final exam. Like I said before, they should have a 2-way communication in order to have a better standard of learning. Next, advantage is about variety of assessment activities or methods. From this, we can have a higher quality of demonstration, which is students need to demonstrate their ability to learn and understand on regular basis. This is because it is more demanding to consistently demonstrate the learner's level of knowledge and understanding. For example, in current assessment, we have various methods like students can perform their ability through the acting about any topic, group discussion, group presentation, and others. In addition, it is high level of retention. This is because it will encourage students to use their knowledge on a more frequent basis, and it is also help students strengthen student memory through more engaging ways of learning. And lastly, about time used for assessment. With direct assessment that we have in current assessment, by using various applications that provide us the medium for measurement student achievement, we can determine their achievement in convenient method. For example, here we have quizzes, Quizstar, and the most popular is by using Google Form. I'm sure all of us here used to it, and then furthermore, by using application, it can save cost for preparation assessment, because like in traditional assessment, we always spend a lot of things, such as like we have to prepare question paper, answer paper, and others. So it spend a lot of things rather than we just do the assessment by any application, and it is also very easier for us to use it. So I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Nur Aina Sofia binti Abdul Sahud, metric number 151952. Based on experience, discuss 5 difficulties faced by inexperienced teachers in integrating assessment and teaching. The difficult faced by inexperienced teachers is teachers difficult in determining appropriate teaching pedagogy. They do not know the best teaching method according to the particular class and student. Pedagogical determination can help to use teaching method according to the level of student acceptance. When teachers are difficult in determining teaching pedagogy, it's hard to make assessment and teaching with meaningful and interesting teaching aids. This will affect the level of acceptance of knowledge. Students have the potential to lack comprehension in teaching and assessment. Secondly, the difficulty faced by inexperienced teachers in integrating assessment and teaching is the teachers difficult to select the appropriate question level for students. Every teacher should use the questioning level to assess students based in the lesson that have been taught. There are 3 levels of questioning, which is low, medium, and high level. All 3 levels of questioning should be used to determine their level of cognitive development. Inexperienced teachers are not enough experienced in determining the appropriate level of question during teaching and assessment. Asking low-level question only in class causes their cognitive development to be at a low level. This will lead to a lack of involvement in idea generation. Even the assessment of their understanding of teaching cannot be done effectively, and the objective cannot be achieved. Inexperienced teachers may not be familiar with the type of question that are appropriate for each student. Inexperienced teachers also find it difficult to use questions that trigger high levels of thinking. Teachers prefer to ask low-level questions such as asking specific definitions and facts. As a result, the integrating of teaching and assessment to students cannot be worked effectively. Thirdly, the inexperienced teacher also difficult in handling a class. Managing and operating the classroom is important in ensuring that teaching and assessment activities run smoothly. The difficulties are often experienced to ensure that student behavior is in good condition. Inexperienced teachers difficult to tackle students' behavior as well as create a learning environment in the classroom. They are still new and do not have enough experience, causing them to know less about how to handle students and use appropriate psychological methods. The behavior of students who like to move, chat, and make noise will disrupt the teaching and assessment process. The teaching and assessment process could not get good cooperation from the students due to the poor and disorganized classroom control. Based on the two pictures below, show that the first picture, teacher can control the classroom because students are in their respective place and not noise, while the second picture shows the teacher cannot control the classroom because the student play and noise. Teacher will difficult to teach and student also student difficult to pay attention and understanding to teaching and assessment. This will cause teaching and assessment to not move smoothly.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone, my name is Nur Faratika binti Muhammad Saufi, metric number 151422. Now I will continue the presentation. Next, the difficulty faced by inexperienced teachers in implementing assessment and learning in the classroom is that these teachers are lack of knowledge in using the latest application in learning process. As we all know, in the latest education system, the use of technology has become important part as a teaching aid in improving the effectiveness of teaching and learning. Those teachers that do not have the knowledge in handling the appropriate application as teaching as face the difficulty to improve the understanding of the student. For example, we can see how the use of application like quizzes application is a very interesting as one of the assessment method in measuring the level of understanding of student. This app is game-based learning designed by a teacher. At the end of the class, teacher will use this application to evaluate the output received by student on the topic taught in classroom on that day. The students will be able to answer all the questions on the application based on their understanding of teaching and learning delivered by teachers. However, if the teachers do not have the knowledge of how to use this application, like quizzes application, this will become difficult for them in identifying the weaknesses and strengths faced by his or her students. The teachers are unable to make a good assessment through the effective use of application, and even learning becomes less fun. If they only use the old method of assessing students, like asking them directly in class, this will create a clustering of students where students who can answer all the questions are considered smart and students who cannot answer the question are considered weak. This situation creates a form of perception that can reduce the motivation of students who are considered weak. So, teachers need to know how to use the application in order to make a good assessment. This is because interesting assessment methods can increase student involvement in learning activities because they love the latest activities, especially by using interesting application in accordance with the current situation. In addition, this method of assessment is important because it can assure the effectiveness of learning objective at the end of the class. Lastly, the difficulty faced by experienced teachers in integrating assessment and learning now is due to the difficulty in allocating enough time to handle the class well. If we look at the current education system, teachers need to show the development of students through the system by updating the academic achievement of students. This has added to the task of a teacher. This situation leads to teachers do not have enough time to be prepared to start learning session, which is to make a lesson plan. They enter the classroom unprepared. This has distracted learning session when the teacher do not have clear learning objective. The unpreparedness makes learning objective cannot be achieved. Even the lack of time in the classroom makes the assessment session cannot be implemented at the end of the class. Even though the teachers know that assessment is a very important because it needs to be implemented consistently and continuously to provide information about student level of understanding. In addition, it's also important to plan assessment so that students can monitor their learning strategies and practice the knowledge, skill, and abilities they acquire. Nevertheless, there are teachers who will take this assessment lightly. They do not examine in advance the training given to the student whether it is appropriate to the topic or not. This situation causes this assessment to lead to anxiety to students as well as affect their academic performance. In conclusion, a teacher needs to improve their knowledge in teaching and learning methods from time to time in accordance with the changes in the current situation of students to ensure that learning session is effective as well as with the objective. This effectiveness can be seen by the assessment given to students at the end of the class. If a positive response is given by students, it shows that they understand what is being presented, and this gives an education to the teacher that the way it is presented is effective. That's all from my group. Thank you.